Well, we feel like we've had a productive couple of days with practice, with film, and coming back and really diving into the peaks and valleys of the game from Wednesday night, and there were. And there's peaks and valleys in the season, we know that, but there were some in the game. And we tried to look at what we could have done to make it better, especially at the start of the game. We looked at what we did really well and how we played and how active we were when we had a great run. And then I think we walked out of there realizing that not being as free-flowing, not getting into our offense as quick, not getting the ball reversed, led us to, or forced us into taking some shots that maybe we wouldn't want to take at bad times in the shot clock. But most importantly, that there was no defense for the turnovers. And at the end of the game, in their run, we were 4-16 with 6 turnovers that turned into 12 points. And we got beat on the backboards, and we weren't as active as defensively, and we gave Appling too many points. So a lot of everything that could have gone wrong at the end did, just like when it was really going well for us, it did. So there's a lot of things to learn from that. We've come home, we've worked on it, we've worked to make corrections, not only on the film, but on the court, and at the same time, make sure that we're completely locked into playing what I think, the only team that I can compare them to would certainly be Kentucky, and the only difference is that Ohio State has more experience. So it's very, very similar. It's two teams that are high level on the perimeter, high level inside, and create a lot of points off of their defense, have the inside-outside attack and know how to use it simultaneous inside of the same possession. And they compete, and they compete relentlessly. So we know that we're going to have a major task, but we're looking forward to it, and we're also looking forward to having a great crowd. I think when Coach Izzo said the other night that his crowd was responsible for quite a few points, or quite a few baskets in that game, I certainly hope that we're saying the same thing tomorrow night, because we need a Kentucky-level atmosphere in here. And the Butler atmosphere was tremendous. All our games have been really good, but the Butler atmosphere was tremendous. But the Kentucky one was at another level, and we need everybody the seats are sold, so we just need the energy level in here to match that, because I think our guys are going to be really, really excited to play. But they know that, but they know the challenge, and I think that's what's got their attention as much as anything, is they know this is going to be a great challenge, but also a great opportunity.
When you speak of challenges, a player like Sullinger, how difficult is it to deal with it? Whether you try to, man on man or double team, or how do you approach it? How challenging is he?
Well, his game is built on 2 feet in the paint. Okay, and he can step out and shoot threes. He made one again the other night. He's getting better on the perimeter. You can see that. He rebounds the ball, but his game is truly built on having 2 feet in the paint, and you just cannot allow him to have the positioning in the setup space that he wants and needs, and that's what it is more than anything else. But the pressure on the ball has got as much to do with that as the post defense that you put on, and whatever type of defense you try to play. So it's all going to start with our transition, which is going to lead right into the ball pressure. And you just can't allow the paint to be owned by that team, because that's what makes them as good as they are, I think. I mean, they've got numerous first-round talents on that team. There's no doubt about that, when that time comes for that. But at the end of the day, you cannot allow them to have the paint.
Has this team been as even-keeled after a loss as they have been after wins? No,
they're on edge. They're edgy, and that's exactly what you want them to be. And highly competitive, There was no, there's nothing carefree about them, and they're confident. I mean, in the sense of how they've come back, but they watched that film with a very hardcore eye. They really did. I mean, they looked at it, and I don't think there was a lot of rationalization going on. I think they looked in there and they really saw where they could be better, and they wanted to learn. And that started that night. So I mean, it's as far as the way we talked about it after the game in the locker room. So they've been very on edge and anxious to play.
On the flip side, in the post, I mean, after seeing all the physical defense, what What did Cody kind of take away from Michigan State and what they were doing against?
Well, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to take away from it. But number one, it's a very physical league, and I think what he has to understand and will understand, as much as anything else, because he hadn't gone against that kind of size and strength, is the game is about leverage. It's not necessarily about strength, it's about leverage. And he's got to continue to play with his lower body even more. And but we want Cody to be very confident. We want Cody to attack more. And it's not like anything had to be reinvented. It's just a matter of him going through it and understanding the leverage points of the game and a couple different things he can do to get open, and then just be aggressive and have an attack mindset. And so that's the biggest thing.
How did Verdell come through this physically, and how's Will coming along with this?
Verdell was good, and we've been in and out with him a little bit, and not pushing it with him, but his mindset's great, his attitude's great. He played a lot of minutes the other night, and there was nothing more than just the wear and tear of being in the game. So, and Will continues to be in a day-to-day situation, day-by-day situation.
Deshaun Thomas, he has emerged this year. He struggled a little bit last year. He's really emerged with the problems he would present.
Well, I think he's played a lot more. And so, I mean, points per minute, he had to be one of the better ones around last year, too. So, with him, he's a fearless player. And he's always in range. And he's got a lot of different ways to score. And he's offensive rebounding the ball at a very high rate. And shooting the three well. And they're really, they've got, you know, Aaron Kraft, this is where they're a unique team. Aaron Kraft really runs the team. You can see that he runs the show. But they can play through Sullinger down low, they can play through Buford on the perimeter, and they can play through Deshaun Thomas basically about anywhere. And he can be in the post, he can be in the high post, he can be on the wing. And when you've got numerous trigger points of your offense like that, and that can trigger the actions the way that those guys can, that makes it hard. So another reason that they're so good, and he's certainly one of the more complete combination players, not only in the league but in the country. And you can see it.
Have you seen a lot of teams like that have, when you say trigger points, I guess, how unique is that? How rare is it?
Very unique, very unique. Because you know, most teams don't have numerous guys that are really, really good at certain areas that everybody else knows how to play off of them from that point. And this is a team that can beat you with a five-man offense. This is a team that can beat you with isolation. It's a team that can beat you with post-up. They're extremely good. Buford is, no question, he doesn't get the credit nationally that he deserves. But we felt like that for some time. He's averaging an incredible amount of points against Indiana. We have not guarded him well at all. And I think he's going to be a really good pro for a really long time. But he is tremendous at coming off screens. He's tremendous at reading screens. You can trigger him as a guard on the wing, on the break, but even in the post. So Thad's got a lot of different ways to play, and a lot of different guys that started out for them that way. And in answer to your question, it makes it extremely difficult, which means your team defense has got to be as good as it can possibly be. And that's where they're just a little bit different than Kentucky. And Kentucky has obviously great players, but it pretty much starts the same way every time. And then they just play accordingly. And they can do so many different things. Here they can start it a lot of different ways.
This team is obviously better than any that you've had here, but what do you have? What's the key to making sure that, from a confidence standpoint, one loss doesn't snowball into 2, into 3?
Well, you can't. The moment we start focusing on that is the moment we're going to lose. That's not the mindset. I mean, the mindset is not. The mindset is about making corrections quickly, okay, and accepting that those corrections have to be made, absorbing them, which means applying them on the court, and then moving forward. And that's where the league moves quick. If you don't do that, and it's not just it's a league, it's just that it's a lot of games now in a short period of time. But there aren't any of us in there walking around talking about, well, we better do this or we're going to lose 3 in a row. I mean, that's not the mindset. I mean, we were handed a major challenge at the beginning of this conference season with going up there, coming home for this team 2 years in a row, playing them without our students here, okay? And then turn around and playing another ranked team in Michigan. So that's what they gave us, that's what we'll deal with. And we take it, obviously, a practice and a game at a time, but we're not jumping ahead and worrying about things we can't control. We want to make sure we're taking, there's enough things that we think we can fix that we want to work on that, or have worked on that.
For Coach, I guess when it comes to going from Michigan State to Ohio State, I guess what are the lessons you can take and what's sort of different? You go from playing a team that's got a lot of big guys to this one where you have really just truly one big man who's probably maybe the most.
Well, they have more. They have Ravenel that can come off the bench too. But I think the whole thing is not to complicate the process, and that's the biggest thing. I said the other night he's a quick learner. I don't have any doubt that he'll pick things up. And again, a very physical team in a very tough environment, and he'll only be better for it. So that's what the focus has been. And there's correctables, there's teaching points, but at the most point, or for the most part, I should say, it's just about him just playing with the confidence that he plays with. That's what it is more than anything else.
It kind of got lost maybe a little bit in the loss, but your thoughts on the way Christian played with 26 and 10?
I thought he played outstanding, and the only thing would have been more fitting for him going over 1,000 is if we'd got the win. But he earned his points. He was fierce. It was a fierce game, and he was one of, or if not the most fiercest player on that court. He was right there in that first line, and I think that's what's most important. And he defended pretty well. But at the same time, you know, when we were really good, he was really good. And there were a couple of times when we weren't so good that he was a part of that as well. So it's not like you can say, well, he had a great game, because he did a lot of really good things, but we didn't get the win and we didn't have a good closing. So I think he understands as much as anything else, you know, how important it is to turn right back around and get going. But we're asking a lot of him, and because he's going to be getting major assignments defensively all the time. You know, in this league, you're always lining up with somebody on the perimeter or in the post that can really play. And so, you know, with the way we switch and what we feel his capabilities are, this is a great time for him to be challenged with that. And it's an opportunity for him to show his teammates, himself, the league, at the next level, which is very important too, that he is working to be a two-way player, a complete player, and that the defensive part of it is a huge component of that.
You got a lot from Victor as well. When you talk about him.
Well, again, we got a lot from a lot of guys, and then when we didn't play well, it was the same guys on the court. So there's no question that we missed one of our best defenders, one of our best athletes, one of our most versatile players in that game because of the level of play that game called for. And we weren't as good coming off the bench. So we needed our main guys to play pretty well, to do a lot. They were asked to do a lot. There was a span when we were in the 38-11 run that Vic was just magnificent, terrific, okay? But there were also times when we weren't as good inside of that, where Vic wasn't as consistent. And for Vic to take the next level for him as a player, the consistency is the biggest thing for him.
Christian, with obviously the points have been going up, but how, I mean, is he at a point where you want him to be in terms of rebounding the ball? It seems like
never. You never have your players at a point where you want them to be. I mean, and that's not a negative. That's not a negative. The only negative would be is if they couldn't get better. And we don't have that situation. If a player had reached this peak and you felt like, boy, you know, we're really, I hate when you ever feel like, or when coaches say, well, we're getting the most out of him. Well, that means that he's not very good, you know, and that there's not much of a future for him. You want to keep challenging them, and at the same time, while you're challenging them and they're reaching points, you keep raising the bar for them. You know, you keep setting the vision higher for the individual player and for the team as you go along, even when they're accomplishing things. So I don't think, I mean, I love the way Christian's playing, but I don't think it's anywhere close to where he's going to be. And I don't even think in terms of we want to utilize his strengths, don't get me wrong. We want to utilize what he's doing well, but there's still a lot of things that he needs to get better at, as they all do. Maybe we can say that about any one of them.
How far has he come along just in terms of just keeping the motor going all the time?
Well, that's going to be the test now. Mm-hmm. That's going to be the test, because he's done a pretty good job of that. And, you know, once he got healthy after that initial injury, which really set him back, and I think we're seeing now how much it did set him back, because he didn't have a great start to the season. But that's That's the question for him. Two-way players, complete players, consistent players, all right, they do it all the time. And that's what we want, his level of toughness to be measured by how consistent and how energetic he is day in and day out. And I have no reason to believe that he won't, and that it's not growing. But you got to keep making sure we make sure that we're channeling that all the time, because that's the next step for him.
How big is Tom Pritchard in games like this? You
Really
obviously
big.
let a lot of minutes.
Huge, no question. And needs to have even more of a mindset that he can do even more. You know, we can't have Tom miss uncontested dunks and layups. You know, he's got to finish plays. He can do a lot of things defensively. This is where his versatility as a defender and his experience as a Big Ten player really comes in. And especially with Will out, because Will can guard so many different guys, okay? So the other night, we're asking Tommy to do things that maybe Will would do. Remember, last year we started Will against Draymond Green in that game. Right. So you know, that's, when you take a guy out like Will and you miss that versatility, you got to have somebody pick the slack up, and that's what we need Tom to do.
Anything else?
But I think along the way, that makes our team that much better all the way across the board, and those guys are playing that way, because they've been together some on the court, but we haven't had as much of a switchable team with Tom because of who we've been asking him to guard. And hopefully as we get better with this, he'll be able to even do more with the switching.
Anything else?
I'll ask quick, just because it seemed like you might have slipped it there. Are you saying you don't expect Will?
No, I didn't say that at
still-
all. I said
Okay.
that was prefacing it the other night.
Okay, that was mentioned the other night. Okay, I didn't
No,
hear.
he's still day-to-day. I'm not getting off
He's still a
that.
possibility. Okay.
But, I mean, you know as well as I do, I mean, you got to plan other ways. So, nice try, though.
Thanks. I took a shot, thanks.